I thank those who are here for being here. We've got 39 people on the call. That's a great start. We've got some topics to cover. First of all, I want to share something with particularly the presidents-elect that are on the call. I've got something that I think maybe you'll appreciate if I can figure out how to get to it. Bear with me 1 second.
Andrew, and I'm a member of Rotary, and we're here to figure out if people actually know what Rotary is. Tell me, what is Rotary? Rotary phone? No. Chicken. Phone or a rotisserie chicken. Tell me, what is Rotary?
Is it when you get a document stamp? Been rotarized.
Let me ask you this. What do you think of when you hear Rotary? Well, I'll tell you what I think. You go and you all over, and then your toilet gets clogged, so then you have to call the rooter. Do you know what Rotary is?
Is it like a
Yeah, it's like a club. Do you know what kind of club?
I picture a bunch of old stuffy men sitting around smoking cigars, drinking scotch?
Oh, yeah. Now let's ask some actual Rotarians what Rotary truly is.
When I first moved to the area, I didn't know a lot of people, and I didn't have many friends. But then, when I joined Rotary, I gained friends, a community, and even a family.
To me, Rotary is about being part of our community. Rotary has contributed over $500,000 to places like our local zoo.
It's things like this playground. There was nothing here before. And now it's something everyone can enjoy.
My favorite part of Rotary is learning something new every week, straight from the top leaders in our community. I go to Rotary feeling stressed out from work, and leave feeling energized and empowered.
Rotary's about impact on a local, national, and global scale. Like this ballpark for children with special needs. And helping new Americans learn English in this classroom. Oh yeah, and did I mention that Rotary is working around the world on thousands of projects, such as eradicating polio and providing clean drinking water for millions of people. Rotary is where friends, neighbors, and problem solvers share ideas, join leaders, and take action to create lasting change. To find out more, visit fmrotaryclubs.org.
You can tell that video is a little bit dated because it's 2 international themes ago. But I wanted to play that for everybody, like I said, particularly the presidents-elect, because they're the ones where the rubber meets the road as far as encountering people who are prospective Rotarians. And if that's the stigma that we all have to overcome, that gives you a little bit of an idea of the kind of efforts that we have to make at a club level to convince other people that we're not just a room full of old guys.
David has been thinking about joining this club.
Let me close that up. Did you hear the next one? Yeah, that was exciting. So with that said, if you were on the call last week, you heard our president-elect, our international president-elect, Holger, tell everyone what his 4 core goals for his year were going to be, namely increasing impact, increasing ability to adapt, enhancing participate engagement, and expanding our reach. And I've tried to take these Zoom calls that we're going to do as part of the warm-up for PETS, or maybe PETS itself if we have to again cancel in June, and categorized different things that the district leadership team thought that the incoming presidents would want to know and how they apply to each of those four different things. Today's general topic is increasing our impact. So we've invited several people to participate in the call. For starters, we've got on the line, I saw them come in, a couple of people who are current club presidents. And we've got one from Grafton and we've got one from Beckley. So I've tried to get everyone, fairly representative from either end of our district. They're certainly different people. They're both friends of mine. They come from different clubs and different geographical regions of the state. So if I could, Greg and Dan, if you would pop on there, unmute yourself, maybe introduce yourself to the group, and then 5 minutes or less, share for us, with us, and we can certainly discuss it as well with the rest of everybody that's on the call, what it is now that you are the current president that you wished you'd have known before you became the president.
Which one of us you want to go
Greg,
first?
you want to start?
You guys want to flip for it?
You pick us.
Well, we can go alphabetically if you want. That would put you, Principal Cartwright. Go ahead.
All righty. I'm Greg Cartwright and very proudly the president of the Grafton Rotary Club. And my presidency started in an unusual fashion. Just about this time last year, our president at that point had ended up having back and neck surgery. And so she was totally out of commission. So for the last 3 months or so of the year, I chaired the meetings, I chaired the board meetings. I'm also president of our education endowment. So those parts I already had pretty well in hand when I became president officially on July 1st. I think the one real concrete thing that I know now that I wish I'd have known a lot more about was DAC-DB. I didn't know it was there. I didn't know all of the capabilities of it. I still don't, but features such as P-text and P-mail and the database and the reports that you can print, I would encourage all upcoming presidents to acquaint themselves with DAC-DB, find somebody in your club that can help you, whatever it takes. I think the next thing that I wish I'd have done more thoroughly was, I'm not sure that I even really realized that our club had a constitution. And I really, during this year, we've revised our constitution twice. One of the times was to allow for a different type of membership. We brought on an evening, a type evening, we call it, a different type of membership for people that just can't, their lives won't allow them to attend Wednesday noon meetings. So we still have our traditional club that, by the way, will celebrate its 100th anniversary later this year. And we meet regularly Wednesday at noon. We've gone to virtual meetings like many have, but we also now have a group of primarily younger people that work during the day and can't be there. And so we had to revise our bylaws a couple of times to allow for that. I think the next thing that I wish I'd have known more about was the capabilities of the foundation, the whole system of points and possibilities of recognition points. One of the things that we were able to do was the wife of our longest term member was made a Paul Harris Fellow in honor of all of her support of Dave over the years. Another of our club members and I each took the opportunity to use our recognition points to make our spouses Paul Harris Fellows. And I didn't realize, if you will, in a volunteer organization. And so I would remind you that it takes a little more tact, it takes a little more diplomacy to lead a volunteer group than it does somebody that you're responsible for signing their pay sheets. The other is that embedded in every organization are those people that have done something their way for years and years and years and years, and it's really embedded in them and in the organization. And it really takes some gentle work to not break those people, but to mold them to be more effective, bring along some technological capabilities if you can. And I guess the two words I would say are tread lightly. Another thing is I wasn't as organized as I should have been for many of the meetings, so organization is a must. I think we all need to apply the four-way test to our own lives and our leadership and our clubs. And the other is that with our club, about half of my club are past presidents of our club. And I think you need to take advantage of that and their expertise and their experiences and rely on them as much as you can. So that's mine for today, Sean.
Great. Anybody have any questions for Greg? Nobody? Great. Dan, you still with us?
I am here. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Everyone, I'll let Dan introduce himself, actually. I'll let Greg do that.
I'll admit up front, I'm not a West Virginia native, although I'm a convert. Greg mentioned he spent 37 years in the education business. I spent 38 in the military, so serving in the Navy. I came to West Virginia as a result of the Boy Scouts when they asked me to help build and open the Summit Bechtel Reserve. So I spent 5 years doing that. And as soon as I came, one of the first things I did was join the Beckley Rotary Club. I'd been associated with Beckley previously in my military, with Rotary previously in my military experience. So it was kind of natural to integrate into the local community by joining the Rotary Club. I approached, in answer to Sean's question, this task by kind of reviewing with myself, if I had to do this all over again, what would I have done? And so my list, if you will, that I'll go through quickly, some of which will touch on things that Greg has already mentioned, but hopefully it'll help you make a little bit of a checkoff list on things to consider. I trust by now all of you have assembled your teams. If you haven't, that's something obviously you ought to be doing and complete quickly and get them registered so that Rotary International knows what the incoming team looks like. In that vein, I would encourage you to utilize the committee structure in its entirety. Sometimes some of our clubs have a tendency to say, well, we might be able to recruit somebody to fill this position and as president, all the help you can get is going to be tremendously valuable to you. So utilize the time and effort to select the right people. We have a tendency to think, well, this person or that might not be interested in serving. Don't assume. We're all busy, but we're also all Rotarians. And often a personal ask you'll find people will be willing to help out. So utilize all the chairs and the committees, if you will, to support you as you go forward. Meeting individually with each of your chairs, review the goals that you've had in the past, the progress you've made, and set the goals for the future. And that includes putting them in Rotary Central on My Rotary. If you haven't looked in there, Greg mentioned DAC-DB. Rotary Central is another area where I highly encourage you to get familiar. There's a lot of great information, a lot of historical information that you may not realize about your own clubs that you can find just by looking in Rotary Central. Rotary International has updated that site, and it's tremendously more valuable than it has been in the past. So I encourage you to spend some time on that as well. Familiarize yourself with DAC-DB, as Greg mentioned, and the district website. Both can be very valuable tools for you going forward. The next thing I would advise, and I find that this is not as common as perhaps it should be, is develop yourself a master calendar, if you will. There are certain things that go on every year that you really ought to be prepared for. Hopefully your club has kind of a document of those things. It's things like, how do you do a turnover with a new president? What has to happen? Bank needs signatures, credit card may need to be changed. Certain dates, like the theme of the month for Rotary, these are things that you can anticipate up front and help you shape your program year as you go forward. So I encourage you to do that master calendar thinking, if you will, and think ahead a year. Then you can start programming in with your program chair. We'll use vocational talks for that. So I'll always have a couple of our Rotarians that are prepared to step in on short notice and talk about their vocation. That we haven't had to use that a lot, but it's been very helpful, and we'll program them into our schedule as times go on. Then, of course, from your master calendar, you can develop your detailed calendar and get your whole year program laid out, if you will. A couple of things. Greg mentioned governance documents, the Constitution and the bylaw. If bylaws, if you haven't read them, make sure you're very familiar with those documents. We, like Greg mentioned, we found that there were some antiquated entries that we had to clean up. So we did some cleaning up of both governance documents last year. In the context of succession planning, there's a tremendous advantage to building RLI graduates within your club, folks that have been through that training. You'll find that a lot of the surprises you get when you walk in are eliminated if you've been through the RLI program. So I encourage you to use that as a resource for you and encourage your members to take advantage of those things. Service projects, we've had a lot of fun mixing up our service projects this year. We have a few that we do that are common, but some we try and just insert some new things. We've done things like Shoes for Kids campaign. So think ahead, contact local community service organizations that you might partner with and get ideas early on. So as you start to plan your year, again, you can think about opportunities to do some things that benefit your community. And Greg mentioned the foundation and the tremendous resource we have through the grant process. I was foundation chair before I became president. It was a tremendous learning experience. We've used district grants. We're in the process of thinking about a global grant, but it's an enormous resource for you as you go forward. So those are some of the highlights, Sean, of the things that I thought about as I kind of stepped back and looked at the year again. And I'm open to questions and comments, and hopefully we can contribute more as we go forward.
Absolutely. Anybody have any questions for Dan? Well, Dan, Greg, I thank you both. I appreciate everything you do. You all have been more than welcoming to me in both of your respective areas. I think I'm now an honorary member of the Grafton Club, thanks to Greg and Ed and Sam and those guys up there. And Dan had me down almost this time last year to take part in the World Jamboree for the Scouts when our current president, Mark Maloney, was there and let me participate in that. So I thank you both for what you've done, both for Rotary and for me personally. And I will tell the presidents-elect and anybody else that's listening, if you're involved enough in your club to have been selected, I guess we'll say, or volunteered to be president, then I'm sure you know who your current club president is, who your probably immediate past president is. And like Greg said, their room once a week is filled with past presidents. So there's lots of people that can offer guidance. And as David Stovall would tell us, you need to listen to all that and then decide which parts you want to hear. So unless anybody has any questions for Dan or Greg, and you can either use this raise your hand feature or unmute yourself and ask your question as we go along. Otherwise, gentlemen, thank you. They have both set us up for moving forward because a lot of the things they said are important are not only things that we're going to discuss during this call and the next 4, but also some today. So with that said, I would like to turn the floor over to our District Rotary Foundation Chair, as well as our district trainer, past district governor from 2017-18, and all things in between. Terry Mathias, are you on there, Terry, somewhere?
I'm here. Well, first of all, thank you all for being here today. This is exactly the best way to do this, but it's the best way we know right now to do this. So I appreciate all of your participation with us today. And what I'm going to do is over the next 20, 25, 30 minutes or so, we're going to try to go through the foundation as best we can. I know all of you have different levels of knowledge of the foundation. And so hopefully some of this will be review for some of you, some of it may be brand new, and that's okay. I mean, here, as you know, we're focusing on getting the presidents-elect up to speed to serve as president. We really want to make sure you have some information and knowledge, and more importantly, resources available to you so that if you don't know, you know who you can call.
Terry,
So
if I can
what I'd
interrupt
like to
you for
do is
just a second.
Sure.
We've also got a special guest with us that I think is going to be involved with you in presenting some on this topic. I'll leave that up to you to bring her into the mix if you'd like, and you can do that whenever you see fit.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Sean. Okay, so first of all, I just wanted to introduce to you the district foundation team. Most of them are on this call, some of them are not. Our district grants chair is past district governor John Powell. He's not with us today, but he will be a part of doing the grants training, which hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, that'll be Saturday, June 27th as part of our district assembly. So we'll just have to kind of see if that happens or not. On the call with us today, we have past district governor Herb McClarty. He is our district major gifts chair, and he is actually also an assistant Rotary Foundation zone coordinator for us as well. So he is a great resource to use. He's got a lot of experience with the foundation, so he's with us today, and he's one that you can use as a resource. We also have past district governor Dave Cavender with us on the call today. He is our new Polio Plus chair. He'll be speaking briefly toward the end of the call, talking a little bit about Polio Plus. We also, I think he's still on, is past president Jordan Feathers. He is our district Paul Harris Society chair, and I'm in a little bit what that means. And then we do have a very special guest today from Rotary International. She is our major gifts officer, Lori Menzel, and she'll be doing the second half of the presentation with me today as we kind of walk through some of the highlights of the foundation. I hope all the PEs on the call have the materials printed out that I asked you to do on a recent email, because it'll make it a lot easier for you to take some notes and follow along, because basically we're going through those pages during our presentation today. So if you have those in front of you, pages 66 and 67 really kind of give some historical background of the foundation. I'm not going to read those to you, but you kind of get an idea of how the foundation got started, where it got started. For those of you who don't know, the Rotary Foundation is a separate entity. It is separate from Rotary International. It is our 501c3. It's your charity as a Rotarian, and we really want you to one, participate yourself, but then also encourage your clubs to participate and give to our charity as well. One thing I just do want to point out on page 67, it lists the 6 areas of focus for the foundation. And so when you're thinking about district grants for next year, our requirement as a district is that it does cover at least one of those areas of focus. So make sure when you're thinking about district grant ideas, peace and conflict prevention, disease prevention and treatment, water and sanitation, maternal and child health, basic education and literacy, and economic and community development. Those are our 6 areas of focus. So if you're thinking about a grant that you want to do next year, make sure that it lines up with one of those. One of the things that we're also going to be discussing, not too much today, but down the road, we are going to be looking at COVID-19 response. So we'll be able, next Rotary year, if you want to design district grants to help in some way respond to COVID-19, that's a possibility. And we're also looking and discussing about maybe even doing a large incoming global grant to fight, the fallout from COVID-19. So those are things that are in the back burner right now. We're kind of thinking through all of those things, but I just wanted to kind of make you aware of those. So those 6 areas of focus are right there for you to look at. They've actually tweaked the wording on a couple of them, but those are the 6 areas of focus for next year. Okay, if you go to page 68, this is really a busy slide, and I'm just going to kind of focus on a couple things on this. This is really to help you understand where the money flows through the foundation. And for those of you who are not that familiar with it, it can be very confusing, and it doesn't have to be. So I'm just going to try to keep it very simple, very high level, and don't want anybody to get lost in the weeds. So what you do, this just shows you if you give $100 to the foundation this year, where does that money go? It only talks about if you give money to the share fund. There are some other funds out there too, like Polio Plus, and Lori will talk about some of the other funds as well during her half of the presentation. And then later, as I said, Dave will talk about the Polio Plus. But if you give $100 to the share fund, 3 years from now, $50 of that would come back to our district. And then of that $50, up to $25 goes into district grants. And the remainder of that money, the other 25 would go into global grants. So you can see we get 50 back in 3 years, and 25 to district, 25 to global. But then if your club applies for a district grant, you basically get a dollar for dollar match. So your club makes up that other $25 and you get half your money back. And then if you participate in a global grant, the World Fund matches that other, the other grant, a global grant, dollar for dollar, and you get your other $25 back. So it's a way you get all of your money back and then some if you leverage your money toward a global grant. So just to kind of let you know again, real briefly, next year we're going to have about $40,000 available for district grants. So basically what that means is if you go to the grant certification training the end of June, you'll probably be eligible for about $1,000 per club. That's about what it was this year. We give $1,000 per certified club. So you have to come to the training or else you're not eligible to participate in the district grants. So think about a $2,000 project where we're going to pay half of it for you once the project is complete. So that's the district grant side. I want to talk about the global grant side because a lot of people really don't understand the leverage that's possible through a global grant. And I want to talk about that for just a minute. I think it's 2 years ago now, I initiated a global grant. It's an incoming global grant. And what it is meant to do is provide dental care for children who aren't getting dental care in West Virginia. We partnered with the Rotary Club of Chandigarh and our district. I leveraged $19,000 of our World Fund money and made it $53,000 through matches and grants with India. So right now we're in the process of setting up, and unfortunately we can't do it now because of COVID-19, but we were actually going to go into one of the Wayne County schools about a month ago and provide dental care to some of the children and then provide some dental education. But COVID-19 got in the way, so we're probably going to start implementing that in the fall. Our partner in West Virginia is Marshall Oral Health. They're actually providing all of the care, both the hygienists and the dentists. Rotary bought all the equipment with the grant, and basically we're going to be serving children initially in Wayne County, and it's probably going to expand beyond Wayne County. But we took $19,000 and leveraged it to $53,000 to buy equipment and supplies. And that's the power of the foundation. That's the power of Rotary grants to make an impact on West Virginia. So think big. And this is what I told the president-elects last year. Think big. You need a $30,000 project to apply for a global grant. But I can help you. I wrote that grant. I can help you write a global grant. I can help you find an international partner. Herb can. A lot of the PDGs on this call can help you find international partners. So I want you to think big and make a big impact on your local communities and in our state. So those are some of the important reasons that we really want you to contribute to the foundation and to encourage the members of your club also to contribute to the foundation. Okay, let me move on because we don't have a lot of time today. 69, page 69, it talked about promoting the foundation in your club, and there's a couple things on here I want to highlight for all the presidents-elect. Number one, and most important, is get a club foundation chair. You can't do everything as the president. You've got a lot of other things you have to worry about. So I would highly encourage you to find a club foundation chair. And then also, as Dan already said, get a foundation committee. Don't make it a committee of one. Get other people in your club engaged with the foundation and helping to promote the foundation. It says there nextly, lead by example, attend all of the seminars and workshops. And that, again, I've already mentioned, that's our June 27th district assembly. If we can do that, that'll happen Saturday, June 27th. Flatwoods. And that will be our time to do the grant certification and teach you guys how to apply for district grants. The third bullet on that page is to lead by contributing personally. As a club president, it's crucial that you do something to give to the foundation. You are the leader of your club. You set the example for everyone to follow. So I would encourage you all, if you're not currently giving to the foundation, to think about how you want to give to the foundation your year as president. My suggestion is to give $10 a month through Rotary Direct. It's easy. You set it up, and Lori will tell you in a little bit how to do that. But basically, $10 a month goes to Rotary right out of your paycheck. It's one less trip to Starbucks or one less trip to McDonald's a week, and it's going to build you to what's called a sustaining member. And then what I would encourage you to do is encourage your board to be the same, so that at least all of your board members are sustaining members of the foundation. And then you can even take it one step further than that and have your club to be 100% sustaining member club. We only have a handful of clubs in our district that meet that qualification. And I'd love to see more clubs qualify for that in the coming year. It's $10 a month, that's all it is. And it makes your club a sustaining member club. And that's more money that goes into the foundation, which means there's more money that comes back to make a difference in West Virginia. So just some things to think about. The point system, somebody mentioned that, one of the presidents mentioned that. Just real quickly, every time you give $1 to the foundation, you get a point. And you can give those points and make other people, that was already mentioned, you can make them Paul Harris Fellows. When I was governor, I made all my AGs Paul Harris Fellows that weren't with my points, or I bumped them up a level in the Paul Harris Fellow realm. So there's a way you can kind of promote giving. If you encourage your members that maybe they're halfway there or get halfway there, you can use points in your club to make them Paul Harris Fellows. So that's something to think about. But again, I would really encourage Rotary Direct. Okay, moving down real quickly, it talks about having clubs every quarter, dealing with the foundation. There's a lot of resources out there online. There's a lot of resources on this call right now. I've spoken at clubs. I know Herb has spoken at clubs, and both of us are willing to come and speak to your club either via Zoom or in person, whenever that happens again, just to help you educate your club and to inspire your club as to the great things that the foundation could do in your community. And that's the main thing that I'm really trying to help you, all of you, understand, is that a lot of times people don't give to the foundation because they think, well, it all goes over there somewhere. And that's not true. You can leverage all the money you give to the foundation to come back and then some to make a difference in your community. So anyway, we can help you help your club understand that. That's what we're here to do. So you have these resources, use them. And then we talked last week about the goals. I'm not going to go back to them, but I think there's 4 or 5 goals that you can set as far as the citation is concerned, having to do with giving to the fund, the annual fund, giving to polio, major gifts, bequest society, benefactors. So once Lori defines those for you in a minute, you may want to go back and talk to your board and look if you want to set some goals in some of those areas for yourself. And then if you go to Rotary Club Central, which was already mentioned, and you go to Foundation, and then you go to Foundation Reports, I believe it's just the president and the club foundation chair can look for those reports, but it shows a monthly contribution report and a club recognition summary that shows the giving to each of those clubs. If you have trouble, you can't do that now if you're not the president, but once you're the president or your club foundation chair, whoever that person is, they can see those reports. And if you have trouble there, let me know. I see all of those reports, and I can help you get a copy of those to track your progress as you're moving forward into next year. And I just threw a whole lot of stuff at you in a really short period of time, but I'm trying to stay on track with you today. I think what I'll do is I'll just turn it over to Lori now and let her finish, and then we'll field any questions that you have for us. I'm going to turn it over to Lori Menzel. She is our major gifts officer from Rotary International. She lives in the DC area. She's a great resource. She's a great help. She's been to our district multiple times and knows a lot about the Rotary Foundation and can help you promote it as well. So I just want to turn it over now to Lori. So go ahead.
Great. All right. Well, it's good to see everybody. It's fun. May not be the same as in person, but it's great to be here with all of you, and I appreciate the opportunity. I wish you a lot of good luck this coming year. I hope you have a great year for your presidential year. But let me get started as well so that we can stay on time. The next sheet in your book is all about Rotary Direct, which Terry talked a little bit about. I won't go into a lot of the form, but I will say it's really easy. They've made it very simple, especially if you want to go online and do it there. You can set up your Rotary Direct online. You can even go in and change the type of credit card, the amount, the designation, how often, all those different things are really nice now. It's really in your hands as to how you can do it. And it is a wonderful way if you want to be a sustainer, or perhaps you want to be Paul Harris Society and you want to do $1,000 a year to the Rotary Foundation. That's $84 a month, and you can set that up. And that's how I do mine, because I don't want to have to worry about it. And so I just set up my automatic Rotary Direct, and it's much simpler to do it that way. But so basically what I'm going to talk about a little bit now is just start from the beginning of the fact that Rotary Foundation has three main funds. I know we have Dave Cavender on the call today, who is your polio chair. As you know, polio is our #1 priority, and we are still working very hard to get there right now. We have the wonderful Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation 2-to-1 match, which we are extremely grateful for. And will continue right now through 2023. We do have to raise $50 million a year in order to get that match. And so it's really important that we raise that. And it's something we're looking at very closely right now, especially with COVID-19, and to make sure that we get there this year. We don't want to miss that. And I will say, if you haven't seen it, that I'm actually really proud of everything that that Rotary has helped build as far as infrastructure goes for the Polio Plus, because we have pivoted and are really using that in a lot of countries to help with COVID-19 response, whether it's using, I just got a picture of a polio worker with the cooler that the vaccines go in, that they're using those to transport samples and that are going to hospitals. They are working on education, on hand washing, you name it, but they've really pivoted to use all those infrastructures that we have to help combat COVID-19. And once it's safe to go back to polio work, then they will go right back to that. But they are using that right now for COVID-19 when it goes to polio. And then our other one he's talked a little bit about is our annual fund, which a lot of you know as Annual Fund Share. And he described how that works. Other ways you can give to the annual fund are not only share, but also with the World Fund that the trustees manage. And if you heard, some of that money is given then for global grants, or maybe it's to help polio, maybe it goes to the Rotary Peace Centers. But that's where our World Fund goes. You may know that the trustees moved $3 million from the World Fund recently into the Disaster Response Fund to help with that response. And over $3.5 million has gone right back out into global grants that has been requested by Rotarians to do work now out in the field to help with the response to COVID-19, which is just really, really, truly amazing. You can also give to any of those areas of focus that Terry talked about in the beginning through the annual fund. You can also give to the Rotary Peace Centers. So there are a lot of different ways that Rotarians can give to the annual fund. Obviously, share is important because it brings back that money to your district, but there are other ways that Rotarians can designate their giving. And then the Disaster Response Fund that I mentioned right now, that's also something that kind of ebbs and flows as to what's going on. We used it a lot during Hurricane Dorian, which was down in the Bahamas, and now obviously it's very busy with the COVID-19 response. But that's something, if you go online to donate at Rotary.org, you can choose to directly donate to the Rotary Response Fund. And then last, but I think not least, of the three funds that we have is our endowment fund, which I think is probably the least understood, the least known about the Rotary Foundation, but it's one of the most, it's just as equally important because it is our sustainability for the future. Our endowment works just like any other endowment, where the principle of the gift that's given is not spent, it is invested in perpetuity, and then the spendable earnings that come off, the interest that comes off each year from that endowment, then is used however the Rotarian has designated. And just to give you an example, last year we had over $16 million in spendable earnings that came off the Rotary endowment. that went out to things like share, any of the areas of focus, the peace centers, things like that. So they support many things. They're going to support many things in the future that we don't even anticipate now, but it's an important aspect of giving to the Rotary Foundation. So if you look at page 71, which provides you with some recognition levels, as well as some different, and also the Bequest Society and the club recognition. So at the top where you have the Paul Harris Fellow, which has been talked about before, it is the only giving with the Rotary Foundation that's a combination of points and dollars. So to receive Paul Harris Fellow, you could have, perhaps your club does a match and says, you know, if you give $500 to the Rotary Foundation, we'll match it with 500 points, and that makes you a Paul Harris Fellow. It could be club, it could be an individual does that type of match or challenge, but that's the one way that you can combine those points that you earn and recognize people with Paul Harris Fellow. And then Terry talked about the sustaining member, which is $100 a year, that $10 a month that you can do. And by the way, $10 a month is the minimum that you can do for the Rotary, for Rotary Direct. And then Paul Harris Society, which is the next one at $1,000 a year. And then major donor is when, as a Rotarian, you reach that $10,000 cumulative giving to the Rotary Foundation. We recognize you as a major donor. And again, that is cumulative dollars, either coming in from, possibly you can give through your credit card, or maybe you're giving through an IRA distribution or stock. Maybe you give through your donor advised fund, or things like that. Those are different ways that you can give to reach major donor. And then you can see we get all the way up to Arch Clump Society, which is our most generous donors that we have at that $250,000 and up. So that's our donor recognitions with the outright giving. And then if you look at, I'm going to skip the club banner for a minute. If you go down to the bottom where it says estate pledge is where we get into the Bequest Society. And that's the giving for tomorrow. That's where we can create your personal legacy with the Rotary Foundation. Benefactor is the first level, and benefactor is a little bit unique in the fact that it can be either an outright gift today of $1,000 to the endowment, or you can pledge to give it when you are gone. And that, for either one of those, you would receive benefactor recognition. And then at the $10,000 level, when you decide that you want to leave the Rotary Foundation a gift of $10,000 or more, is when you join the Bequest Society. And that you can see we have different levels of estate giving. You can give through, you can make the Rotary beneficiary of your IRA, you know, of a life insurance policy, of a trust, of your donor advised fund. You can do it through your will. You can also, we even do charitable gift annuities and charitable remainder trusts. Those get a little bit more complicated, but the Rotary Foundation does do those. We actually do have one other level for the Bequest Society, which is level 6, which is at $500,000 and up. And the other one I wanted to mention is that we do have something that we started, we announced it at the convention in Hamburg. It's called the Legacy Society. And that's for our Rotarians who decide to leave a gift of $1 million or more. We really felt like we wanted to steward those donors, increase the stewardship of those donors. And so that's why that was created and began in June. And just to let you know, we do have over 200 members already in the Legacy Society. Rotarians are an extremely generous group. And just think if you had a Legacy Society member in your district and the spendable earnings that came off every year to help with all the projects and things that you do. Last thing, just to talk about a little bit of recognition with individuals, is when you decide to join the Bequest Society with a gift of $25,000 or more, you do have the opportunity to create what's called a named endowed fund. And it's really a wonderful way to create your own personal legacy. So if I wanted to do it, I could create the Lori Menzel Endowment for District 7545. And then each year, after it's realized, when my gift comes in, when it's realized on your foundation reports, you would get, my name would be on there that would show Rotarians, hey, this was really important to Lori. She wanted to make sure that the district had the funding they need for future projects. And then also your heirs get a report that says, here's the market value, here's where the spendable earnings each year, and here's where it went. So it really helps with showing your heirs that we are making good on that promise that you wanted us to do of, it's really very transparent and accountability, and provides them with that information of what's happening with your gift. So those are some ways that you can create your legacy with the foundation. So those are some of the different things with the foundation. When it comes to club banner recognition levels, as Terry talked about, you have the 100% Foundation Giving Club. That means that each Rotarian in your club gives at least $25 personally to either the annual fund, Polio Plus, approved global grants, or the endowment fund, and club per capita needs to be $100. So that's one type. You also have every Rotarian every year, which also each Rotarian has to give at least $25 personally, but it's only to the annual fund, and you need that club per capita of $100. And then last on here is the 100% Paul Harris Fellow, which a club can earn once, where all of the Rotarians in your club are Paul Harris Fellow members. And then the last thing two things I want to hold up is make sure if you don't have a copy of this, you might have it electronically, but it can be your foundation Bible. So make sure that you have a copy of this. You can get it online for free, but it answers a lot of questions. I have only been on staff 2 years. I still go back to it. I look at it because I forget something or something new comes up, but it's a great guide reference guide for you to have to use. And then Terry asked me if I would just share a couple of things about the current state of the district and your giving. So I wanted to congratulate you. You're already at $118,000 this year of giving to the foundation, which is terrific. And we really appreciate it very much. You've already surpassed your annual fund and Polio Plus goals, which is terrific. Don't let up though, keep it going. It's really important. You still got a couple of months left. I know that we're in some difficult times right now, but if anyone can give anything, that's awesome, and we really appreciate it. And currently you have 38 Paul Harris Society members, and you also have 40 people that are on Rotary Direct. So that's really important too, because that gives, especially the Rotary Direct, gives your, depending on what they're giving to, but if they are giving to Annual Fund Share, it gives a wonderful stability of giving to the district. Just as an example and just as a challenge, I have another district that's not too far from you that only has 27 more members. And right now they have 275 Paul Harris Society members, and they have 155 people on Rotary Direct. So they're not much bigger. And I know that as much work as Terry is doing and all of you are doing to promote the foundation, that I know we can grow your numbers, especially to grow Share, to bring that money back into West Virginia to help with all the wonderful projects and things you're doing. So keep up the great work. And with that, I will open it up if there's any questions. And I thank you again for your time and for inviting me to be here with you.
Anybody have any more questions for Lori or Terry, either one?
Hey, John, I've got
Go ahead, Sam.
I've got a question. In regards to the recognition points, Terry talked about for every dollar given, you earn a recognition point. Clubs can earn recognition points as well. Is that correct? For example, Terry, for every dollar a club gives to polio, a recognition point is given to the club. Is that correct?
Yeah, clubs can earn points as well, just like individuals can. Because I've seen clubs that just, like you said, give the polio or maybe give, donation to, the annual fund or whatever. So you can, as a club, earn points that you can parcel out as well.
Okay. Something our club does with our points, and Ed or Greg can jump in as well if they want, is that we give recognition points to someone who has sponsored a new member, someone with perfect attendance. The president gets recognition points. If someone holds the district office, they do as well. So, we give those out that way. It's a little bit of an incentive to, I think, try to sponsor a new member or have good attendance.
Those are good ideas, Sam. And that's the thing that, as was mentioned earlier, is like you may or may not be aware of what even we're talking about when we're talking about points. And if you want help with that or guidance or direction, reach out to me, reach out to Herb, reach out to any of us on the foundation committee from the district level, and we can help you with that.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any other questions?
Lori, this is Ed Westfall up here. You were mentioning the numbers of members that were on Rotary Direct. Do we have access to a report that shows who, or at least the number in our club that are using Rotary Direct?
I believe you do. Terry can correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe that there is on the report, the reason I hesitate is because last year we did have some issues with our software all talking to each other. And so we had some reporting issues with Rotary Direct being correct. And so I believe those have been fixed, but I believe when you, the foundation chair and probably Terry, have those reports, and next to a person's name, they're usually, if they're on Rotary Direct, there's a check, a yes or a check by their name.
On one of the reports that are available?
Yes, on one of the club reports, yes.
Okay, great.
Ed, let me throw this in too as a partial answer to that. Terry alluded to the fact that we've got some other folks on the call that are involved in this same vein, and I would encourage them to contribute if they'd like. They've taken their time out of their schedules to be here. And that's Herb McClarty and Jordan Feathers both as well. And we're going to hear from David Cavender here in a minute. But do any of you gentlemen have anything you want to throw into the mix? Herb or Jordan, either one? Crickets.
There you go. I was going to say that as the Paul Harris Society chair, work with Sean to come up with an appropriate number to grow that from 38 this year into the coming year, and see how many people are close and maybe just don't even know about it yet, and just give them a little bit of information and boost them into that next level.
Well, let me add to that, Jordan, and consider this a spoiler if you want. There is a thing, I think that's the Rotarian term for it. Laurie, you can correct me if I'm wrong. There is a thing called the $1 Million Dinner, where a district can set a goal to, over whatever period of time it wants to designate, a $1 million dinner that hosts and congratulates and appreciates and thanks the people who have contributed within the district over that period of time, however much money it takes and however much time it takes in order to reach that $1 million dinner. Coop and Roger and I have a 3-year strategic plan, and when we know who our next nominate DGND will be, hopefully we'll have a 4-year plan. We have all discussed a desire to put our District 7545 on that $1 million dinner map, and to get us pointed in that right direction now, and with Sherry's blessing as well. We have started at kind of the Paul Harris Society. We've decided to start at the Paul Harris Society level, and that's why we've got somebody energetic like Jordan is, to start talking the talk and walking the walk with both Terry and Herb and David's and mine and Sherry's and Laurie's help, to stress upon our membership the importance of the foundation and what it does. So there's your spoiler. There's a plan, and we hope to get started with that very soon. Anybody else have any questions, foundation oriented? Herb, anything you want to contribute? If you're
Herb, did you want to say something? Just unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, Herb.
Let me see if I can unmute him.
I hope I'm.
There you go.
Am I muted? Am I muted?
You're good now.
Okay.
You're on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Come May the 2nd, we will be having different Zooms pertaining to the foundation. In fact, May the 1st and May the 2nd. And Brian Holscher, who is the um, annual gift officer from Rotary International, and I will be presenting the annual fund share. And much of what Terry and those have given today will be reviewed again, maybe a little bit more in depth, because we will have up to an hour. We won't take that long. Brian and I have decided that we're not going to speak that long, but we will be presenting a significant amount of information regarding the foundation and the annual fund share specifically. That would be May the 2nd from 11 to 12 o'clock.
Great. Thank you, Herb.
AM.
AM. Should point that out. Anybody else have any questions for those gentlemen? If so, we've got two more people that are on the call that have been waiting very patiently. One of which is past district governor from our district, 2006, 2007. If anybody else goes back that far, you may remember 2006, but if you would, we've got our Polio Plus district chair on the call as well. And he has gone to great lengths to become tech savvy enough to participate. So with that said, David Cavender, if you would, what would you like to contribute to this discussion with regard to Polio Plus? David Cavender, calling David Cavender. Are you there?
Yeah.
There you are. Good afternoon, sir. He's muted himself. Let me try to unmute you from here. There you go. Go ahead, David. Try now.
Okay, am I on?
Yes, sir. We can hear you loud and clear.
Great. I didn't get any drum roll though beforehand.
You didn't hear all that?
Well, no, I'm in a real drum roll. For those of you who don't know me, I still have a flip phone, and this is the first time I went out and bought a laptop and crossed my fingers. Chair this year, Sean has asked me to hold that position. Also a past governor and a past foundation chair. So the one, and I know we're all chasing dollars, and especially this year with COVID-19, it's going to be tough. I would like to offer my services to be a program for any president who needs a program, short program on the Polio Plus campaign, and then using Rotary Leadership Institute techniques, which I'm also the regional coordinator for RLI, come up with brainstorming ways to fund your Polio Plus contributions that's not competing with the dollars that we need to give to foundation. You've already been told Bill Gates Foundation will match us 2 for 1 in dollars. I think it cost about 35 cents to actually produce the vaccination. It's actually not a vaccination. I think it's oral. And at last that I was aware of, we are down to Pakistan and Afghanistan. Although other countries, because of war, for the most part, you have flare-ups of the wild polio virus. So it's an ongoing fight. And I guess my real point is I'm here. I'll gladly come to your clubs. I'll try to help you to figure out ways to give to Polio Plus, but at the same time not be taking away from your dollars for foundation. I'm a PD, again, I'm a past district governor. Share is very important. 50% of that money comes back to our district. And the other, well, it's actually about not quite 50%, but we still call it 50%. And the other half going into that world fund that we can then tap for projects. And as Terry mentioned, projects that we can do in West Virginia. Fortunately or unfortunately, in many ways, we're just like a third world country. And we can get matching grants from other countries to aid our people in West Virginia. So that's it. I would ask that the presidents try to think about giving me a name and a phone number and an email of an individual in your club that you're going to appoint to be responsible for your Polio Plus campaign, and look forward to when we can actually meet in person. Thank you.
Fantastic. Anybody have any questions for David or anybody else thus far at this point? Then let me give the floor, last but not least. We have one of our district RLI co-chairs, past district governor of not that long ago, actually, 2013 to 14, the good Dr. Harry Falk. Harry, the floor is yours.
That's not a medical doctor, by the way. It's
Thank God.
Polio Plus too, is that's really to engage non-Rotarians in giving to support polio, to rid the world polio. If you don't know, October 25th is World Polio Day. I don't know what level of socialization we'll be able to do at that point, but that might be a good thing to think about, maybe some kind of fundraiser that you can engage your community. Some of you I know already do stuff, Pints for Polio, Pancakes for Polio. There's a lot of good stuff out there that some of the clubs do, but you know, let's just start thinking of ways that you can, not only from your own club, but also, you know, get donations from your community as well.
Our zone Polio Plus folks, Rocky Jacobs and Chuck Davidson, have requested that the goal for the year be at least $45 per member.
Thanks, Herb.
Anybody
Thank
have
you.
any more questions or any more topics for discussion?
You're welcome.
I
Do you want
apologize.
me to do the RLI?
Absolutely, Harry.
That's okay. If you look in the handbook that you received, on the very next page, I think it's on page 72, there's one page, a quick page, an overview of Rotary Leadership Institute, or we shorten and say RLI. And this is really an international program to educate Rotarians. It's not part of Rotary, although Rotary accepts it and doesn't think of the term. It recognizes RLI as an important component to train Rotarians. So it's a worldwide program. Our particular district, or not district, but even bigger than the zone, is called the Mid-Atlantic section or Mid-Atlantic area. And that involves 8 states. So it's, and out of those 8 states, then West Virginia is one of them. And out of the Mid-Atlantic states, there are stone coordinators, and our own Dave Cavender is one of the coordinators. So he coordinates some of the events there that we have in our own district. What I did is I gave you a separate handout, or I included you in an email that included, I thought, some valuable information. One was a trifold brochure. I hope you got that. And it's a brochure about Rotary Leadership Institute, and it gives you a lot of more information that's not included on this page. Also on this page, though, I would direct your attention to the bottom of the page where it has the website or web address, www.rli33.org. If you go there, you're going to gain a lot of information about Rotary Leadership Institute. And I would encourage you someday when you don't have a lot to do and you're sitting on your back porch or something, and you have your computer and you're looking for things to do, click on that website and go there and explore it. It's a wonderful website. And if you look at the bottom of that website, it has the curriculum for part 1, part 2, and part 3, the books. And if you want to see what you would learn if you were to attend RLI, it really has examples of what goes on in each one of those sessions. we're very fortunate, and all the past district governors, the current district governors have all attended RLI, and many of them are also facilitators. So they have a good understanding of what RLI is and the importance of RLI. If you're incoming club president and you haven't attended, I would really encourage you to attend, and I would encourage you to also have your the incoming assistant governors come in, or club presidents come in, because it's a valuable training opportunity. What we're doing in the Clarksburg, and we have one in the southern part of the state in Charleston, or South Charleston. I know we're trying to find a place in Wheeling for one there, and I'm trying to get a place in Beckley so that we can have one in Beckley. We do a list of all the Rotarians in your district or in your club that have attended and gone through RLI. And they're listed, their names are listed, and it said if they completed part 1, part 2, or part 3, or if they're a facilitator. So you can use that as a guide and encourage people in your club who have taken part 1 to sign up for part 2, those that have completed part 2 to sign up for part 3, and so forth. And also, you can use it to try to encourage those people that have gone through it to talk to other Rotarians in your club to try to get them to attend an RLI event. I also included 2 photos, I guess, or several photos of everybody that came, participated in the South Charleston one, and also a photo of the graduates. Those the photo of the graduates are ones that have completed part 1, part 2, and part 3. If you have somebody in your club that's gone through all 3 parts, we really want to start a facilitator training to get more facilitators, because I included a list of the facilitators, and you see we don't have very many in our district. So we really need to increase the number of facilitators that we have to lead these sessions. The important thing to remember is that you don't have to know a lot about Rotary. I think when talk about Rotary Leadership Institute, many Rotarians don't want to come because they think it's just for the leaders in the clubs, and that's not true. It's for everybody. And the other thing is, I think that some people are hesitant about coming because they're relatively new to Rotary, and they're afraid they don't know enough to participate. And that's the ideal person coming is somebody that is relatively new and can learn more about Rotary by attending Rotary Leadership Institute. It's not a lecture program, it's a participation program. So everybody that's gone through it seems to enjoy it immensely, and they think it's very, very important to strengthen the clubs. If you have 4 members of your club that attend, the fee is normally it's $95 a member, but if you have 4 members from your club that attend, the 4th person is not charged, or the club is reimbursed for that. So it's 4 for 3. You pay for 3 and 4 can attend. The last thing I'd like to say is that there are also a thing called a mini RLI, and you have to have 10 Rotarians to participate in a mini session. If you have a large club, or if you have 2 clubs that would like to combine and you have 10 people from 2 or 3 clubs, let me know and we'll schedule a mini RLI. And a mini RLI is just for part 1, but those people would go through part 1 and receive credit for that, so they continue in part 2 and part 3 when we do these other sessions in our district. Do you have any questions about Rotary Leadership Institute? It's not very well known, unfortunately, and sometimes when I talk to club presidents, they're not aware of it and the value that it has for their clubs.
Anybody have any questions for?
I just would like to make a comment.
Please.
Just to back up what Harry said, that RLI is a perfect opportunity for presidents-elect, club officers to attend. But for all of you guys who struggle with new member orientation and you don't have a really good program in place, RLI is a perfect place to send your new members for a great orientation. I just facilitated the one in South Charleston, and I know in the first track, I probably had I don't know, 3, 4, maybe 5 Rotarians with less than 12 months of Rotary experience, and they enjoyed it. They got to interact with Rotary, other Rotarians that maybe have been a couple years. There's one guy that 15, 20 years. It's just a great opportunity for, your newer members to get more familiar with what Rotary is all about and meet Rotarians from around the district. So I would encourage all of you, if you're not familiar with it, go yourself. If you are, send some of your newer members or your board members, because it's a great experience and a great opportunity.
If I may, I attended the South Charleston and really enjoyed it. It was a very good session with, thanks Terry, thanks Harry. I did the number 2 and just got a whole lot out of it. A lot of fun socially as well.
We try to have a good time, these. And they're also a summer session, and the summer session is going to be in Virginia Crossing, and it's going to be on July 10th. I think we'll be okay to have it on the July. But it's also listed in the website that you can go to, and they also have part 1 and part 2 and part 3 that's offered there. And it's a wonderful opportunity to meet with Rotarians from the zone in a much larger area, and that's always a terrific experience. And Dave Cavender, the last time we had this, Dave Cavender cooked dinner for everyone and did a super job. So if you have a wedding coming up or any kind of event that you need a caterer for, I highly recommend Dave Cavender because he does a wonderful job. Also, he provides the drinks for the social gathering, and it's always top shelf drinks that he provides. So it's a good time. It's held by all.
I have to say, if I'm on, I can't tell if I'm on.
You're on.
You are.
Okay.
You're on.
First of all, RLI foots the bill for the alcohol, although I do get top shelf. When I joined RLI in 06, the social hour was pretzels, beer, and cheap liquor. And I just shook my head, and I went to the 2 folks, Bevan and Pam Wall, who were basically running everything at that point in time. I said, how about if I took over the social part? And they said, great. And then I said, well, what's my budget? And they said, well, whatever. And I went, no, I need a budget. And they said, no, that's fine. Well, we've gone from there. But as far as the mini sessions are concerned, yeah, we've gotten into a habit of having full sessions in Clarksburg. It used to be Morgantown, South Charleston, and we used to have full sessions in Bluefield, Beaver. We've now established more or less Clarksburg and South Charleston, I think more than for any other reason than the physical location. We have to have some place to go. For a mini session, you only have to have 10 people. We will come to you. Now, you have to work with Harry to come up with a location. And we will bring the faculty. So that's why we were saying Wheeling perhaps, Huntington perhaps, and we haven't been down in the Bluefield, Beckley area for a few years. So the mini section is level 1, got to have 10 people. We don't have as big a faculty because it's only the 1. It is an all-day session. In our district, they've always been on Saturday. In honesty, the district in Virginia always has them on Friday. You call the day and we'll come up with the staffing. But you work with Harry on setting that up. And other than he does have to give me a heads up to make sure I don't have a conflict with doing an RLI in our region is the Mountain Valley region, which takes in the District to our east that runs from Winchester down to Johnson City, Tennessee. So I do
75,
have
70.
sessions over there. Okay. What is the length of time for a mini session? It is all sessions, be it mini or otherwise, is an all day. It starts at 9 and well, we get you out around 3:30. And within that fee of $95, you also get we do provide you lunch. And it's RLI is a great way to learn more about Rotary. We're here to help the clubs. That's our purpose.
I would like to add two things. And one is that I started my Rotary experience in the Fairmont Rotary Club. And I was in that club for about 10 years before I moved to another place. And then I also served as president in the Beckley Rotary Club, which was a highlight and very interesting. When I went to training to become the president at the Beckley Rotary Club, at one of the training members, one of the training events, they said, now, they told us as the club president, your only responsibility is to run the meetings. That's your only responsibility. Everybody else in your club's supposed to do all the other work. Your responsibility is just to run the meetings. Well, it didn't quite work out that way, but it was for my fault. But for all these new presidents that are participating in these, I can't imagine what you're going through and thinking, my goodness gracious, what did I get myself into? You know, because you're being given so much information in such a short period of time. The important thing is that there are two important things. One is that don't be overwhelmed by it. Have a good time, enjoy it, and get as many other club members as possible to do all the work, so that you just run the meetings and have a good time and don't be overwhelmed. And the last thing is that, you know, you've met a lot of people now, and any one of us would be happy to help you in any way possible. So if you have any questions about anything, no matter how you might think it's ridiculous or something and it's not worth somebody else's time, please don't hesitate to reach out to somebody. Because the one great thing about Rotary and Rotarians is that we're always there to help one another. And so don't feel lost. Don't feel like it's just too much for you. Just reach out and we'll be there to help you. The last thing is that I didn't participate in the last meeting, but at the end of the meeting, somebody made a comment about wearing Rotary garb. She was upset, I think, that nobody had their Rotary material on, or shirts or anything like that. Do you recall that, Sean?
I do.
I heard that. Okay. Anyway, I just wanted you to see that I had my Rotary shirt.
Now everyone.
Jordan has the Rotary wheel, so thumbs up for Jordan.
I have my shirt on.
And Bonnie, I sent you an email. I got your situation corrected on the RLI listserv.
Thank you.
Okay? And Herb, I'm working on yours too, but you never responded to my email.
See, now everybody knows why we ran Harry out of the Fairmont Club.
What's that?
I said, now everybody knows why we ran you out of the Fairmont Club.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, when you
I
sit
always
here,
wondered that.
when you sit here for like an hour and a half, and you know, you have to put in, you have to say something.
Way to go, John.
I'm done.
John's cheater.
And I'm going to stay on the line, I guess. Jane will talk to me afterwards.
Well,
I got my closet nearby.
Let me tell everyone this. We've gone almost 90 minutes, so we're getting better. We're shorter than we were 2 weeks ago, and we'll try to do even better next time. Speaking of next time, our next call is 2 weeks from today, Monday, May the 4th, 1:30 p.m. We're going to be moving down through the 4 goals from Holger. Next week is increasing our ability to adapt. We are going to have Becky Hunn talk to us about the flexibility of membership and different ways clubs can become stronger, not necessarily bigger. just stronger. Bonnie and Mark are going to be part of the agenda if they're still available to talk about the website and the resources that it provides. We're going to have our district communications officer / DAC DB guru. She's not going to tell us where to click and how to click and what it means if you click. She's basically going to be making herself available to answer any specific questions folks may have. If you want to reach out to her in advance to ask your question, I would encourage you to do that. Her email address is listed up near the beginning pages of the curriculum materials that you all have. So you can reach out to her by email or phone. In fact, she would be very impressed if you reached out to her by P-mail, but if you don't know how to do that yet, that's one of the reasons she's going to participate in the call. And then we have another special guest. There are 17 directors on the board of Rotary International, and each zone pair has its own. Our zone pairs, of course, as you know, are zones 33, 34, and beginning July the 1st, Peter Kyle, originally from New Zealand, now living in the DC area, is going to be our director on starting July the 1st, and he's going to be part of our call and give us an international perspective on some of these topics that we've been talking about. So with that said, I thank everybody for participating. Laurie, thanks for making room in this in your day to participate with us. I thank the AGs that were able to participate, and certainly the members of the district leadership team, and most importantly, the presidents-elect. We're doing this for your all's benefit primarily. We're glad to see so many participate. If you notice that some of your colleagues haven't been participating, I would encourage you to reach out to them. I know that the AGs plan to do that as well. They're keeping track, not necessarily for bad purposes, on who it is that participates, but we want to try to reach as many people as we can, because if the world continues to stay distanced from itself, this is going to, represent the pet's experience, and it can include everything, of course, but we're trying to get it to include everything we can. I've got a few people who are unidentified. I sent them chat messages privately. I didn't get any responses back, but if they're still on the call, I don't know who, let's see, I don't know who, which Jessica it is that's here. We have two that are presidents-elect right now. I don't know which one participated in the call. There's an Ann that participated in the call. I don't know who Ann is. We have more than one Ann. And then there's a couple of phone numbers that I couldn't identify, 680-5553 and 472-4541. I can try to do a little research and maybe figure out who those folks are. But if any of those are still on the call and they can send a message like Jessica Waldo just did, thank you, Jessica. That's one scratch off my list. I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, if nobody needs anything else, thank you, everyone, for being part of today. And I'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Sean, if someone sends me a text or a question, how can I retrieve that?
If someone would send you a text, or, well, if they send you a question, if they send a chat during the call, if you go down.
A question during the presentation today.
Okay, well, I see one.
Not a text to my,
right.
Not a text to my phone.
I see one, Herb, that's addressed to you from Bonnie, asking you to reach out to her to give her the specifics on the foundation Zoom call that's coming up soon.
Okay. How do I reach Bonnie?
Well, Bonnie's part of our district leadership team. She's the co-chair for public image. Her contact information are in the materials. You can also reach her through the district website, or Bonnie, you can unmute yourself and tell Herb how you would prefer he reach out to you.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hello. You can find my email on the website. You could go to the leadership team for 1920, and you'll find me there, and just send me a message. I would rather not, give my email address over
I'll find you. I'll find you some way. I promise.
Okay. Also through the website is best, I would say.
Okay.
Thank you.
David Kavner, something's on fire. I see smoke in your screen. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Terry and I were worried about you. Looks like you're down in the basement somewhere anyway. You okay? I mean, do you need bail money or anything?
I'm in a little cubby hole. That's right. It's not a pretty place, I call it.
Dave taught me how to smoke cigars.
Excellent. See, that's the fifth part of the four-way test.
And Herb taught me how to drink.
It's all about the company we keep, Harry.
And Topping was supposed to teach me how to drink and smoke cigars and ride a motorcycle at the same time. Did he leave?
I've seen him do that. It's not pretty. Okay, well, we've dropped from 41 to 16. I guess everybody's bailing on us here. Gentlemen, thank you. Greg, thank you for being part of this. Governess, thank you for being here today. I see Parkersburg's represented. I see Kingwood is represented. We've got Jeff is on the call. Jane's on the call. I just appreciate everybody taking their time to do this. You know, the rumor has it that the governor is going to try to slow roll the economy back into place starting May the 7th. There's a decent chance that we will be able to all get together the end of June. I don't know how many of us are going to be comfortable doing that, but you know, with June the 26th being pets and the night of the installation and the next day being the assembly, I'm keeping my fingers tightly crossed, and hopefully we'll be able to do some of this in person very soon. But if anybody needs me for anything between now and 2 Mondays from now, please give me a call, send me an email, come to the house. I'm not afraid. Knock on the door, wear your mask, whatever. You're free to come over anytime you want. With that said, if anybody's got anything else? If not, I'll end the meeting. There will be a recording.
Sean, I'm hanging out here to ask a question, very quick question of Harry and Dave.
Go, please do.
Okay. I sent Harry a chat. I'm just noticing that some of the folks who were faculty in South Charleston and also in my case, Blacksburg, it's not reflected yet on the members list for RLI that you attached. And I don't know which of you is supposed to turn that information over or put it in the system.
We're not responsible for doing that. Okay, that's supposed to happen above our pay grade type of thing. But what I did is I went to DACDB and I was able to print a list of all the people on their list that have from each club, because I wanted to send that to people. Okay,
right.
Now there were a lot of things that you had to click on to get it so that I could send it to the club by club members. And I can go back and take a look. And I tried to eliminate some of I just wanted the ones that, I didn't want the facilitators, let's say, who were facilitating other places. They didn't need to be on the list. What I was primarily interested in was having the clubs know who went through part 1, part 2, and part 3, and who was a facilitator. So I can take a look at that and change my settings on that report, and I'll send you what it shows. Okay.
Well, actually, I know how to go look at that myself. I just assumed that everything that was that a person would have done, all of the facilitating that they would have done, would be on there because it was on for some. So if that, I'll send you. I tell you what, I'll send you an email if it still looks like it's incorrect, because I know where to find it in DACDB. So I'll be glad to go look that up myself.
Yeah. Okay. And the only way it can be corrected, well, is that I'll send an email to Lynn Kelly, and she does the research and she fixes that. For example, Bonnie wasn't listed. Is Bonnie still on?
I don't think so.
Yes, she is.
Okay, Bonnie.
I am.
Okay, Lynn fixed yours. Okay, so you can get on that list, and if you can access that list, you should be on it now.
Okay, thank you.
And he's off right now, but let's see. Herb McClarty wasn't on that list, and I sent Kelly the email and she hasn't responded yet, but she'll put him on that list. So there might be some errors. If somebody from your club has taken one of those parts and they're not showing up on that, let me know and I'll make sure it's corrected.
I will do that, and I think it was the faculty members that where I saw the discrepancy. So I'll give you I'll look it over and send you a detailed list.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and sorry to hold you guys up for that.
No, not at all. Anybody else have anything? Okay, well, thank you all again. I'll see you all soon. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean.
Bye. You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Yeah.